My name is Andrew, and for most of my life I believed I was one of the lucky ones. I had a stable career, a comfortable home, and a wife I loved deeply. Her name was Emily. I met Emily 8 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. She had this warm, effortless smile that made everyone around her feel comfortable. We talked for hours that night about everything: our childhoods, our dreams, the places we wanted to travel. By the end of the night, I already knew I wanted to see her again. What started as casual dates quickly turned into something serious. Emily had this way of making life feel simple. When I was around her, the stress of work disappeared. The world felt quieter, calmer. 3 years later, I proposed. Our wedding was small but beautiful. Friends and family surrounded us as we promised to build a life together. I truly believed I had found my partner for life. But there was another person who had always been part of my life long before Emily came into it. My best friend, Mark. Mark and I met during our first year in college. We became roommates by chance and brothers by choice. We helped each other through exams, bad relationships, and career struggles. After graduation, we stayed close, talking almost every day. When I introduced Emily to him, they got along instantly. Mark was charming and funny, and Emily appreciated his easygoing personality. Soon the three of us were spending a lot of time together. Weekend barbecues, game nights, late dinners after work. Looking back now, the warning signs were probably there from the beginning. But at the time, everything felt normal. Because when you trust people completely, you rarely look for reasons not to. The first strange moment happened about 2 years into my marriage. One evening, I came home earlier than usual from work. When I walked into the living room, Emily and Mark were sitting on the couch together. They seemed startled when they saw me. Emily quickly stood up and laughed awkwardly. Mark grabbed his phone and said he had just stopped by to drop something off. At the time, I didn't think much of it. They were friends, after all, and Mark had been part of my life for years. Why would I question that? But slowly, little things started to change. Emily began texting constantly. Her phone was always in her hand, and if I walked into the room, she would quickly tilt the screen away from me. Late at night, I would see the glow of her phone under the blanket. Sometimes she smiled quietly at messages. When I asked who she was talking to, she would say it was just a coworker or a friend. I wanted to believe her, so I did. Trust is a strange thing. Once you give it to someone, you don't want to imagine a reason to take it back. But the distance between us kept growing. Emily became quieter around me. Conversations that used to last hours now ended in minutes. She stopped asking about my day. She stopped laughing at my jokes. Sometimes she seemed irritated just by my presence. At the same time, Mark started acting differently too. He stopped calling as often. When we met up, he seemed distracted, almost nervous. Sometimes I caught him glancing at Emily during dinner, only to quickly look away when I noticed. Something in my gut told me something was wrong, but I pushed the feeling aside. No one wants to believe that the two people they trust most in the world could betray them. So I kept ignoring the signs. Until one night, everything finally came crashing down. It was a Thursday evening. I had stayed late at the office finishing an important project. By the time I drove home, it was already close to 9 o'clock. Emily's car was in the driveway, and the lights inside the house were on. But when I walked through the front door, the house felt strangely quiet. Too quiet. Emily wasn't in the kitchen. She wasn't in the living room. As I walked further inside, I heard something upstairs. Voices. Quiet, but unmistakable. My heart started beating faster as I moved toward the staircase. Step by step, I climbed the stairs. Then I heard it clearly. Mark's voice. I froze. Mark shouldn't have been there. Not without telling me. Slowly, I walked toward the bedroom door. It was slightly open, and through that small gap, I saw something that instantly shattered everything I believed about my life. Emily, my wife, kissing my best friend. For a moment, the world seemed to stop. My mind refused to process what my eyes were seeing. Then Emily noticed me standing in the doorway. Her face turned pale. Mark stepped away from her immediately. The room fell into complete silence. No one spoke. Finally, I managed to ask the only question that came to my mind. What is this? Emily started talking quickly, trying to explain that it wasn't what it looked like. But we all knew that was a lie. Mark couldn't even look at me. The man I had trusted like a brother stared at the floor. My chest felt tight with anger and disbelief. But strangely, I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. Instead, I asked a simple question. How long? Emily hesitated. Then she quietly said two words that hit me harder than anything else. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year. For 6 months they had been lying to me. Pretending. Sitting at the same dinner table. Celebrating holidays. Laughing at my jokes. All while secretly betraying me. Emily started crying. Mark kept apologizing, saying they never meant for it to happen. They said it started as harmless conversations, then slowly became something more. They said they didn't plan it. They said it just happened. That phrase made me sick. Nothing just happens. People make choices. And they had made theirs. In that moment, I realized something even worse. They hadn't just betrayed me. They had planned to keep betraying me. If I hadn't come home early that night, they would have continued pretending everything was normal. I felt something inside me break. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly. The kind of break that changes you forever. That night I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I simply packed a bag and left the house. I stayed at a hotel for several days. During that time my phone was flooded with messages. Emily begging for forgiveness. Mark apologizing over and over again. But I ignored them. I needed time to think. And slowly, the pain began to turn into something else. Clarity. I realized the two people who betrayed me thought they had taken everything from me. My marriage, my friendship, my trust. But they forgot something important. They had only destroyed their place in my life, not my future. A few weeks later, Emily asked to meet one last time. She said she wanted to explain everything. I agreed, not because I wanted to fix things, but because I needed closure. When we met, she looked exhausted. Her eyes were red from crying. She told me something unexpected. Her relationship with Mark had already fallen apart. Once the secret was gone, so was the excitement. They started arguing constantly, blaming each other for the damage they had caused. The relationship that once felt thrilling in secrecy collapsed under the weight of reality. I wasn't happy hearing that, but I wasn't surprised either. Because relationships built on betrayal rarely survive the truth. 6 months later, my life looked very different. The divorce was finalized. Mark had moved to another city. Emily was living alone. And me? I had started rebuilding my life. New hobbies, new friends, new opportunities. The pain was still there, but it no longer controlled me. One day I received a message from Mark. Just one sentence. I lost the only real friend I ever had. I never replied. Because some betrayals don't deserve a response. They deserve silence and distance, and sometimes the quiet satisfaction of knowing that karma has already done the work for you. Because betrayal doesn't destroy you. It simply reveals the people who never deserved a place in your life to begin with.